Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. My name is Garza-Danweber, and I have been a member of this church for 11 years. Our weekly worship is where we connect, share information, and inspiration. To begin, let's acknowledge this geographical place where we are currently located, the home of and traditional lands of the Tonkawa and Payeya peoples of the Coeotecan Band, original and indigenous stewards of this land. On this land is now located San Antonio, Texas, claimed as part of the United States of America. At our church, we believe and act in a universal love that binds us in mutual care and affection, especially in our work for justice for all and for our planet. Our faith is all-inclusive, and all means all. If you are new to us or visiting us for the first time today, we welcome you to sign in on the chat stream. We'd like to get to know you and follow up with you. Wherever you are on your life's journey, we hope you will find your place with us.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Welcome, friends. Our words of invocation today are by Reverend Joan Javier Duval. Here is where you can lay down all that you have carried, the weight of the world that has rounded your back, leaving you aching and exhausted. Here is where healing begins, where burdens are set down, and alongside one another's, their magnitude does not seem as great. Here is where the door is thrown open and the light can lift away the shadows, and what was hidden can now be seen. Here is where you can rest, where nothing is expected, but that you bring all of who you are into the presence of the holy and of this loving community. Let us worship together.
Good morning and happy holidays. I'm Dorothy Wallace.
And I'm Lee Hampton.
I currently serve as president of the board.
And I serve when needed as a past president of the board.
I have been a member of this congregation since 1997.
And I've been a member since 1995.
We are filled with joy to light our chalice this morning.
When we light the chalice, we hear an invitation to welcome gratitude. We are grateful that we all are blessings for each other.
Happy New Year!
We are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all are welcome as blessings, and the human family lives in forgiveness and grace, whole and reconciled. We know that this aim takes work, and so we are committed to live and behave as a community in covenant. Let's recite our covenant that articulates our guidelines and binds us together in community. The words can be found on your screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Sheri Philabaum, and this morning is your lucky day because I'm going to tell you 2 stories today. The first story is about a man named Siddhartha Gautama. Siddhartha lived many, many years ago in a country called India. Siddhartha was a prince, and his father decided from the time he was a baby that he would live a life of total luxury and never experience anything negative or bad. His father made sure that he had the best food to eat all the time and the softest sheets to sleep on and had the most beautiful music surrounding him all the time and would never know anything bad at all. And Siddhartha lived that way until he was a young man. And then he had some experiences that made him think maybe this life of total unending luxury might not be the absolutely best way to live. So he left the palace and he went in search of what he could believe would be the best way to live. And he had a lot of experiences, but one thing that he experienced and went through was that he tried living the exact opposite from the way he had grown up. He joined a group of people called ascetics who believed that the best way to live your life was to have no luxury. In fact, they would starve each other and they would even beat themselves. So Siddhartha tried that for a while, and then he decided that that wasn't the best way either. And after a while, he figured out and started teaching something called the middle path or middle way, which is to be moderate or medium in things, not to have too much luxury, not to have too much deprivation. And he taught that way for many, many years. The next story that I'm going to tell you is about a family of porcupines. It was the dead of winter, and the porcupines were so cold that they knew that they were in danger of freezing to death. So they decided what they should do is huddle close together for warmth. So they did, and they huddled together, and they did feel warmer, but they also still felt really uncomfortable because now they were poking each other really hard with their quills. So they backed away from each other, and then they were freezing to death again. So they came back together, and after a while they found that there was a level of closeness where they were warm enough not to freeze to death, but far enough away so that they weren't constantly poking each other and making each other miserable with their quills. Now, some of you who live with other people may think that that story sounds a little familiar or like your situation. So if you do live with other people, I invite you to share the porcupine story and think about what it might mean for you.
As a way for us to connect as a community, you are invited to share a joyful event, a sorrow, or concern by entering it on the chat stream. Please let us know what is in your heart, for ours is a welcoming community where we find connection. A spiritual community where we come fully alive. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified. A caring community where our sorrows are heard and held in compassion. At this time of uncertainty, may we listen more deeply and grow more involved with and connected to each other. Let's join in silent meditation as we write our joys and sorrows on the chat screen while Susan Dill plays the meditation music.
Let us hold in our hearts all the joys and sorrows shared aloud and held in silence today. As we move through this month of December with daylight getting shorter, may we hold on to precious moments of love and light to help us persevere in a complex world around us. Now I invite you into a moment of guided meditation. This meditation is by Reverend Nathan C. Walker, titled A Survival Meditation. I invite you to sit comfortably, whatever that may look like for you. Close your eyes as you feel comfortable or find a spot to focus on. Feel free to turn your video off if that's helpful. Start to focus on your breath, breathing in and out. As I speak, breathe along with me, dwelling on the words. Let us begin. Breathing in, I am aware of my pain. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my pain. Breathing in, I am aware of my past. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my past. Breathing in, I am aware of my anger. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my anger. Breathing in, I am aware of my despair. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my despair. Breathing in, I am aware of peace. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of peace. Breathing in, I am aware of love. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of love. Breathing in, I am aware of joy. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of joy. Breathing in, I am aware of hope. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of hope. Breathing in, I am aware.
It is now time for the offertory. The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join us. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. You may make an offering on our online giving portal through the link on the screen. Our church has a larger purpose to support all of us in becoming more generous in giving of our time, talent, and treasure. As an autonomous and self-supporting congregation, we rely only on ourselves to realize our goals and purpose. May we succeed in fulfilling our goals, especially in our service to each other and to our wider community of humanity and to non-humans too, all of which is made possible by our offering today.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation to speak with your wonderful congregation today. My pluralist journey expanded in 2009 when I was hired as the director of youth programs at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington in Virginia, even though I was a Muslim. Now I identify as a UU with a Muslim heritage and reflect on how today there are a group of ordained UU ministers. Surprise! Back then, I dove headfirst into work, learning about Unitarian Universalism mostly from teenagers who I was supporting. At the same time, I remember visiting my Pakistani Muslim parents in that first month I was hired and witnessing complete parental freakout. Why? Because my younger brother had Googled UUs only to stumble upon websites declaring it was a cult. Unknown to me, he had convinced my parents I had been hired by a cult. To some degree, I don't think my brother cared if I had joined a cult. He just enjoyed watching my parents freak out on me. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I was finally able to sit with my family and talk to them about why I really liked working with Unitarian Universalists. Fast forward 11 years later, last Friday, I passed my interview with the Ministerial Fellowship Committee, or otherwise known as the MFC, and was welcomed into preliminary fellowship with the UUA. I am also now working for the Central East region of the Unitarian Universalist Association, where I am the primary contact supporting 50 congregations across Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York City, and New Jersey. I've been thinking recently about the ways the work I do has been fulfilling and meaningful. But after 8 Zoom calls in one day, I felt like I hit a wall and I needed more balance in my week. As you know, we're in a time of pandemic, a worldwide crisis, and yet some of us may be filling up this time with more meetings, more virtual happy hours, more virtual book discussions, and family game times because of the loss of in-person connections. I'm a nerd. I have 3 master's degrees and I'm contemplating a 4th, but I find myself pausing at that thought and thinking, Sana, it's a time of pandemic. The best way to make sure you survive is to reduce stress and keep wearing a mask, washing hands, and social distancing. As I was reflecting on what it means to find inner peace and balance in a time of pandemic, I found myself reading over 2 stories that I want to share with you this morning. These stories are from the book Everyday Sacred, a powerful collection of spiritually reflective moments written by Sue Bender. The first story is titled Empty, and the second story is titled Overflowing Tea. After I read the first story, there will be a moment of reflection. Then I will move into the second story. This first story is titled Empty. I was giving a talk one day to a group of quilters, said Sue. Quilters love slides. I am awkward around machinery and don't have a friendly relationship with slides. By chance, that morning I opened the slide box and found nothing there, just the empty tray. I am empty, I said, stunned, startled by the truth of that statement. When I first read this story, it made me reflect on the places that I feel empty. It's an overwhelming time in many ways right now. There's this weird feeling of being overwhelmed and yet at the same time not having certainty and knowing enough of what will happen in a few months. Yet, when some of us think about being empty, we may feel scared. Does it mean I don't have enough life experience? Does being empty feel like loneliness and having no friends? Those are all real and valid feelings. Feeling empty can be hard because it feels like nothingness. But when I think about emptiness these days, I find myself reflecting on the potential in being empty. As poet Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi, or known just as Rumi to many, stated, "We come spinning out of nothingness, scattering stars like dust." To me, emptiness is not complete nothingness. It doesn't mean that nothing exists at all. Instead, what it could mean is that there is potential for something amazing, maybe a deeper experience. The Dalai Lama once said we can never obtain peace in the outer world until we make peace within ourselves. To me, this is a call to find balance, process the things weighing us down internally, and explore the ways we participate in the outer world. It is also a call to think about the impact we have if we don't take care of ourselves internally first. For me, it also means things may not exist the way our grasping self supposes they do. The grasping self being the part of us that wants to control and wants to know what will happen next. And that makes sense to me these days because right now, sometimes things just don't make sense the way that I would like them to. I invite you to think about that and sit with our first story and reflect on what things came up in your mind. Maybe notice the places you feel empty. What does emptiness feel like for you? While you reflect, I'm going to move into the second story by Sue Bender. This second story is titled Overflowing Tea. Over time, I've read 5 books, shares Sue, that have told 5 slightly different versions of the same story. I call it Overflowing Tea. The setting changes, but the cast of characters remains the same. There's always a wise Zen monk or hermit living in a remote place and an earnest student who has made a pilgrimage to see him, traveling a long distance to find his teacher. The student arrives seeking wisdom. The serious student, his head filled with questions, is annoyed and becomes more and more frustrated when his teacher refuses to answer his questions. "Pour me a cup of tea," the monk eventually says, "and I will tell you when to stop." The dutiful student starts pouring the tea and pouring the tea. The bowl fills and he is horrified, watching as the tea finally spills out of the cup and over everything. Exasperated, the student finds the courage to speak. "Can't you see the cup is full? It can hold no more." "And so it is with you," the wise teacher answers. "Your mind is full of too many things. Only when you are empty will there be room for more knowledge to come in." "I am empty," no longer seemed a doomed prophecy to reflects. I would begin with an empty bowl. Where are the places that you feel like you're overflowing with too much stuff? Maybe too much Zooming, too many emails, too many books to read and things you want to do. Maybe there are too many hard things to deal with or too much time and not knowing what to do with it all. What in your life needs to be emptied right now? These stories make me reflect on the ways I bring myself to peace-building endeavors. We're constantly asked to do things, and sometimes saying no to requests is part of that emptying process when you're too full. But also personally in life right now, I feel like there's a lot of change. Some of us may be feeling overwhelmed by changes at work, at fellowships and congregations, etc. Yet it could be good to feel full. I recently met a chaplain who described her metaphor for chaplaincy as being a teacup, like our story that is overflowing with tea into a saucer. But she said she was overflowing with good things, and the saucer was a metaphor for the people she is taking care of. So she sees the tea spilling into the saucer as sharing some of the good things with her flock. I also sit with what it means to feel empty inside and how to think about it as room for growth and learning rather than a doomed prophecy. As Lao Tzu states, best be still, best be empty. In stillness and emptiness, we find where to abide. Taking and moving, we lose the place. So how am I finding balance thinking of these ideas on emptiness and fullness? Well, I am practicing drawing boundaries on how many Zoom calls I can take a day. My threshold is 4. I have colleagues who share their threshold is 3 Zoom calls a day. I also like a good old-fashioned phone call most days, so I can walk outside while speaking. That helps me to focus and take care of my wellness at the same time. And I don't feel as exhausted by phone calls. I built in 3 10-minute moments of meditation or reflection to practice breathing and closing my eyes to let them rest throughout my day. I'm not saying to find inner peace is to be stagnant. Minot Judson Savage, a Unitarian minister, wrote in 1882, "Peace is not stagnation, nor simple aimless rest. 'Tis tireless movement, onward impelled by some high quest." So here's another way to think about it. When I did my first master's degree in conflict analysis and resolution, I had to take an introductory course for a semester titled Reflective Practice. In this course, we did endless role plays of conflict scenarios and dialogue work. We incorporated a practice of questioning as a mediator. For example, asking ourselves questions like, what feelings are coming up for me? Am I stereotyping one of the conflict parties? Am I being racist? Am I being biased? Where am I feeling triggered? Our implicit biases are hard to recognize when we operate in the outer world, and we have them. We all have them. I believe in order to be the best I can in moments of crisis or a pandemic or conflict, in moments of dialogue with people with differing views than myself, I need to do the internal work to process the things that impact my ability to be present and know the biases I carry and commit to working on them. We need to process the things that fill us up and empty the things that no longer serve us. My highest quest is for our collective liberation, where people are living in a beloved community, free from oppression. And I know I can't do that alone. It takes all of us. It takes all of us committing to do the internal work inside, as well as the work in the streets to bring about true peace. And that starts with balance. As we move through today, friends, may we be mindful of the things that sustain us and soothe us. May we reflect on the way that emptiness within may allow us to lean into new experiences and be mindful of where we feel full. May we find moments of stillness, peace, and balance. In the next few days, months, years, may we have the courage to say, I'm too full, and be able to lighten the load. And may we be accompanied on this journey that ebbs and flows like a river, with a community that strengthens and comforts us towards our highest quest. May it be so. Amen. Wendell Berry writes in a poem, The Peace of Wild Things, when despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars, waiting with their light for a time. I rest in the grace of the world, and am free. As we depart, may you find time to lay down and rest in the grace of the world, outdoors where the peace of the wild things inspire inner peace, stillness, and healing within your spirit. Go in peace, friends.
Our service has now ended. May each of us find balance as we move forward into the new year. For those who are interested and able, please join the coffee hour for discussion and fellowship. And to all, thank you for sharing this service with us today.